A cold mist hovers over the mountains of Washington state. The camera slowly pans to a rugged figure walking alone down a dirt road. His army jacket is worn, his boots caked with mud, and his face carries the exhaustion of a man who has seen too much. This is John Rambo, a decorated Vietnam War veteran, once a Green Beret and Medal of Honor recipient, now a drifter, a man searching for the last connection to his past. A lonely search. Rambo's journey begins as he walks into a quiet rural town called Hope. He's not looking for trouble, only for an old friend, Delmar Berry, one of his brothers-in-arms from Vietnam. With a gentle smile, Rambo asks a local woman about Delmar's house, but her eyes drop as she points him to a small house by the river. When he reaches there, an old woman answers the door. Her expression says everything before her words do. Delmar is gone. Cancer took him, caused by exposure to Agent Orange during the war. Rambo stands silently by the mailbox, staring at a photo of his fallen comrade. One by one, his memories of war, the chaos, the screams, the jungles, come flooding back. All the faces of his unit now gone. The realization hits him like a bullet. He's the last one left. The brotherhood he fought for, bled for, died for, gone. Rambo turns away and begins walking again, his mind lost in the ghosts of the past. A town without welcome. As he enters the small town of Hope, Sheriff Will Teasel spots him from his patrol car. Teasel, a proud, rigid man, doesn't like drifters, especially ones like Rambo. Long hair, army jacket, the look of someone who doesn't fit in. He stops Rambo and tries to be polite at first, asking where he's headed. Rambo replies quietly, "Just passing through." Teasel doesn't buy it. He offers Rambo a ride, not into town, but out of it. He drives him to the outskirts and drops him near the bridge, saying, "That's about as far as you go." Rambo nods silently. But as soon as the sheriff drives off, Rambo turns and begins walking back toward town. He's not looking for trouble, just a meal, maybe a place to rest. Teasel sees him again and immediately stops the car, furious. "Didn't I tell you to leave town?" Rambo's calm voice replies, "I didn't do anything wrong." But Teasel arrests him anyway, for vagrancy. The Station of Pain. At the police station, Rambo's silence and stoicism annoy the officers. They treat him like a criminal, fingerprinting him, spraying him with a hose, laughing as they cut his hair. The youngest officer, Galt, goes too far, using a straight razor to shave his face roughly. The touch of the blade, the smell of metal, the fluorescent light, it all triggered something deep inside Rambo. His mind flashed back to Vietnam, to the torture and the screaming. The room spins. Panic. Pain. Gunfire. Suddenly, Rambo explodes. His training takes over. In seconds, he overpowers the officers, smashing through windows, grabbing a motorcycle and speeding into the forest. Sirens wail behind him. The hunter has become the hunted. The forest war begins. As the chase leads into the mountains, Rambo uses the terrain to his advantage. The officers, unprepared for the wilderness, stumble through mud and fog. Galt spots Rambo from a helicopter and tries to shoot him, but when Rambo refuses to fire back and only throws a muck to defend himself, the rock hits the helicopter's windshield. Galt loses balance and falls to his death. The rest of the officers panic. Sheriff Teasel orders everyone to close in. "He's dangerous," he shouts. But in truth, Rambo doesn't want to kill anyone. He just wants to survive. Using his survival knife and military instincts, he builds traps, camouflages himself, and takes out the officers one by one, not killing, but disabling. When he finally corners Teasel in the forest, he could end it, but he doesn't. Instead, he holds his knife to Teasel's throat and whispers, "I didn't draw first blood. You did." Then he vanishes into the trees. The arrival of Colonel Troutman. Back in town, the National Guard is called in. Helicopters swarm the skies. Soldiers flood the woods and chaos spreads. It's here that Colonel Troutman arrives, Rambo's former commander, the man who trained him. Calm, composed, and authoritative, he warns the local authorities. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Rambo's the best. With a knife and his bare hands, he can survive weeks in the wild, eat things that make a billy goat puke. You're not hunting him, he's hunting you. Teasel, prideful and vengeful, ignores the warning. He believes he can still capture Rambo alive. But Troutman knows better. He understands Rambo, not as a criminal, but as a broken soldier. A man betrayed by the country he fought for. The emotional heart. As the manhunt continues, Rambo hides deep in a cave, bleeding from gunshot wounds and hunted like an animal. In the darkness, he lights a torch and keeps moving, crawling through mud and rats. He whispers to himself, remembering his unit, remembering how the government turned its back on the veterans. Outside, the world sees him as a monster. Inside, he's just a man lost in pain. By the end of part 1, the forest is turned into a battlefield, a symbolic return to Vietnam for Rambo. The sheriff and the guards close in, while Troutman watches helplessly, knowing that unless someone stops the madness, there will be more blood. The story pauses with Rambo, alone in the wilderness, staring at the burning flares lighting up the night sky. His face is calm, but his eyes, those eyes tell a story of grief, rage, and betrayal. They drew first blood, not me.
The forest around Hope, Washington, lies cloaked in darkness. Smoke rises from burned-out trees, the echo of gunfire fades into the mist. Somewhere deep within that wilderness, John Rambo hides, bloodied, exhausted, yet alive. The soldiers may think they've cornered him, but the truth is, he's in control. The forest is his battlefield, and every shadow belongs to him. This is not just a fight for survival anymore. It's a fight for justice, for dignity, and for the soul of a man the world has abandoned. The soldiers close in. The National Guard sweeps the hills with flashlights and rifles, their voices trembling. Most of them are young weekend warriors, not trained for this kind of combat. The cold rain begins to fall as they advance toward the caves. Inside, Rambo listens to their footsteps echoing in the tunnels. He knows how they move. He taught men like them once. When one of the soldiers shouts, "He's trapped now," the words bounce off the cave walls. Rambo smirks faintly. He picks up a flare and a piece of cloth, wrapping it around a makeshift torch. Then, without fear, he lights it and begins moving deeper into the cave system, not away from the soldiers, but toward freedom. Behind him, grenades explode. Rocks tumble down. The entrance collapses, and for a moment, it seems like Rambo might be buried alive. But this man has survived the jungles of Vietnam. This cave won't be his tomb. He pushes forward, squeezing through tight cracks, swimming through muddy water, and finally emerges from a narrow opening at the other side of the mountain. The rain pours down harder now, washing the dirt and blood from his face. He breathes heavily but doesn't stop. He's heading back to town. The return to Hope. In the town of Hope, Sheriff Will Teasel refuses to stand down. Even as his men are tired and afraid, he barks orders, determined to finish this himself. "This is my town," he growls. He's not walking out of here alive. His pride and anger have consumed him. Then Colonel Troutman arrives at the command post once again. Calm as ever, he tries to reason with Teasel. "You're lucky to be alive. Rambo could have killed every one of your men out there." "He's not a hero. He's a killer," Teasel snaps back. "He's a soldier, damn it." Troutman fires back. "He did what we trained him to do." But Teasel won't listen. He's too deep in his own hatred. Meanwhile, Rambo has slipped into town quietly. Using the sewers and shadows, he creeps through the empty streets. Every neon sign and every storefront window flickers with rainlight as he moves like a ghost. He spots the gun shop, breaks in, and arms himself with ammunition, grenades, and an M60 machine gun. Then he heads toward the power station. Within minutes, the lights of hope flicker and go completely dark. The town turns to war. Sirens blare in the distance as Rambo fires at Transformers, blowing them apart. The entire town descends into chaos. Windows shatter, cars explode, Teasel's men scramble in confusion as explosions light up the streets. Rambo doesn't aim to kill anyone, not unless he has to. His goal is simple: to draw Teasel out. From the shadows, Rambo moves like a phantom, taking cover between buildings, his face hardened but sorrowful. This isn't revenge. It's his desperate cry to be understood, to be seen. Inside the police station, Teasel loads his shotgun, refusing to hide. "I'm staying right here," he mutters. "He wants me, I'm right here." Rambo hears the words through the open radio and heads straight toward the sound. The final confrontation. As he steps into the police station, the silence is deafening. Rainwater drips from his jacket, his eyes scanning the dark hallways. Then, a shadow moves on the balcony. Teasel fires a shotgun blast, hitting Rambo's shoulder. Rambo screams in pain but doesn't fall. He fires back with his M60, tearing through the ceiling, destroying the walls, turning the building into rubble. The fight isn't just physical, it's emotional. Two men, both soldiers in their own way, locked in a tragic battle that neither truly wants. Rambo corners Teasel, who lies bleeding on the floor. For a moment, Rambo raises his weapon, ready to finish it. But then, Troutman bursts in. "John, it's over." "Nothing is over," Rambo shouts, his voice raw and shaking. "You just don't turn it off. It wasn't my war. You asked me, I didn't ask you." He drops the gun and collapses, sobbing. What follows is one of the most powerful scenes in action movie history. Rambo breaking down, confessing everything he's kept buried inside. "Back there, I could fly a gunship. I could drive a tank. Back here, I can't even hold a job parking cars. Men who fought with me, they're all dead. And for what?" His voice cracks, the pain pouring out of him. He's not the killer they think he is. He's a broken man crushed by the weight of betrayal, by a system that used him and threw him away. Troutman holds him as he weeps, not as a soldier, but as a father figure, comforting a lost child. The end of the war. The police arrive to find the town destroyed, but the gunfire has stopped. Rambo walks out slowly, unarmed, escorted by Troutman. He's covered in dirt and blood, his eyes empty, yet peaceful. He's finally surrendered, not because he was beaten, but because there's nothing left to fight for. The camera lingers on his face as he is led away, the haunting music rising, Jerry Goldsmith's melancholy theme filling the silence. The town of Hope lies in ruins, and the irony is clear. It was never really about the town. It was about a man's struggle to find hope in a world that had forgotten him. Aftermath. The legacy of First Blood. When Rambo First Blood released in 1982, it wasn't just another action movie, it was a statement. It showed the emotional and psychological scars left by war. Sylvester Stallone's portrayal of Rambo wasn't that of a mindless killer, but of a wounded soul, a man pushed to his limits by a society that rejected him. Critics praised Stallone's performance for its depth and humanity. The film earned over $125 million worldwide, an incredible feat for its time, and spawned a series of sequels that turned Rambo into a global icon. But among them all, First Blood remains the most human. A story of a veteran, a man fighting not for glory but for identity. Its themes of alienation, PTSD, and injustice resonate even today. Rambo's tearful breakdown remains one of the rawest moments in 80s cinema, a reminder that even the strongest heroes bleed inside. Final words. As the camera fades to black, Rambo walks into the horizon under the custody of Troutman, the last soldier walking away from a war that never truly ended. His figure disappears into the mist, and the screen fades out with one haunting truth echoing in the audience's mind. They drew first blood, not me.